Hi, this is the Fiery Joker, ending of trilogy time. Gotta say, I'm really not looking forward to this. This is widely considered to be the worst episode of the show. If not, it's probably on your top 10, if not top 5. I've yet to find a person who actually likes it. And now I have to sit through it and find something new to say about it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's rip off the band-aid. Let's brace ourselves. Let's hunker down. Let's try to find more synonyms so I can delay the reviewing of this episode as much as possible. Please? Spike at your service. So this opens up with Twilight reading books, because in the hands of hackneyed writing, that's her only character trait. Because it's gonna take her a while, she suggests that Spike take the day off. Aww, that's pretty nice, you know? Especially since, according to him...
I do have a long list of things I've been dying to do.
So yeah, we get to see what Spike, of all characters, does in his free time. I mean, he's been a part of the show since the beginning, and we don't really know much about him, so... let's see what you got.
Touch nose with tongue. Play bongos on my belly. Smell my dirty feet. That didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would.
Yes! The noblest of passions, the most compelling showcase of character depth! Okay, I get it. We're boys. We like inane and gross things. But are we really saying that Spike has so little character and passion that the only things he could think to do in his free time was...
smell my dirty feet.
This is insane. Anyone who's seen the first episode of this show can find something for him to do. He likes rarity. See her! Or heck, there's other things he could do. He could hang out with Pinky at Sugar Cube Corner, or it's been established that arcades and bowling alleys are a thing. He's a kid, he'd probably want to head there at least. Or heck, this could be a chance for him to search for a hobby or find an ambition. But apparently, this episode wants to reduce Spike's entire character to...
smell my dirty feet.
I'm starting to think the writers don't think too highly of Spike. Okay, I know we're going really in depth to this only a minute in, but imagine this level of writing while trying to tackle a serious subject. Which they will. Strap in, folks, we're going in hot!
My little pony.
Continue with the operation. You may fire when ready.
So then, Spike tries to find something to do and spies a hot air balloon, which he unties by running into the knot. Okay, running into the pole was dumb, but if they tied the knot that poorly, that was just an accident waiting to happen. Okay, not gonna lie, that was actually kind of badass. Normally a cartoon would make a big deal about the pain they're under, but Spike just goes, eh. So then, like a good citizen, he ties up the balloon in the Everfree Forest.
If I didn't know better, I would swear that I was in the middle of the dark and scary Everfree Forest.
If I didn't know better, I would say I was sitting in this chair listening to asinine writing from a crappy episode. If I didn't know better, I would say I exist! Look, I know this is a show for little girls, but that's not an excuse to have dialogue this patronizingly tell-don't-show. Anywho, Spike gets cornered by the timberwolves, and I am too distracted by the cool design and the resulting action sequence to be mad at that pun. Applejack comes to the rescue and outwits the timberwolves, shattering them into dozens of pieces. Questions. These timberwolves don't seem like creatures that would appear naturally, even in a world such as this. They seem more like animated golems, if anything, and that suggests that someone created them, especially with that moment at the end where they magically reconstitute themselves.
You saved my life! You saved my life.
So Spike insists that he returned the favor of saving his life, and it seems innocuous enough. Spike has shown throughout the series to have a very strong loyalty streak. However, he is being a little more enthusiastic than usual here, for reasons that will become abundantly clear. Applejack lets Spike help Apple Bloom clean the pig, and he seems to have done an alright job.
I reckon you have repaid me in full, so we are officially even Steven.
What? Oh no. We aren't even close to being even, Steven. Please, Applejack, you must allow me to assist you further.
Let me die for you!
Really, you don't? Pretty please?
It's just not necessary.
Pretty please?
Why won't you just let me do this for you, Rose?
So then Applejack lets him help with the pies, and suddenly he fails at life. Seriously? Okay, looking at the past 2 crappy episodes, he performed chores like cleaning and managing in Owlswell That Ends Well, and he's baked many goodies in Dragon Quest. Yes, those episodes are awful, but at least they understood Spike as a character. Where did this sudden hyper-incompetence and hyper-clumsiness come from? Supposed to be Spike, right? Okay, compare this to his development in the last bad Spike episode we watched. Yes, Owlswell That Ends Well was a poorly written episode, but it established things about Spike as a character that he has carried with him throughout the entire series. He's a great assistant. He helps keep Twilight's life running via chores and organization. Here, it feels like he regressed. Yes, Spike is young and constantly feels like he has to prove himself, but here? How has he managed life as Twilight's assistant if he's this awful at existing?
You saved my life. According to the Spike the Dragon Code, I owe you a life debt and must serve you.
Oh, there's my tea. What? Where in the 9 hells of Bator did this come from? Okay, if he's had this code for a long time where he pledges himself to people after they save his life, then why didn't he make similar pledges to Fluttershy and Rainbow in Secret of My Excess, or Princess Cadance in the Crystal Empire? This is a serious continuity error!
Proceed.
Okay, I'm not against the idea of Spike having a personal code, because kids do things like that. I remember something similar from my own childhood. Story time. When I was like 4, I came up to my mother in tears this one day and told her, "I'm sorry, Mom, but I had to run away from home with my brother because he asked me to." And yeah, if you thought that was adorable, that's the standard reaction I get to this story. My point is, I'd be less mad if this lack of logic serves something greater. But the only thing that comes out of it is Spike being a moron because...
You have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful.
Second Spike episode where I talked about Toy Story. Weird.
Come on, Spike. This is your personal, moral, ethical dragon code we're talking about.
Yes, the one that never existed before now and is just for the episode's convenience. Like shining armor. You know what this dragon code reminds me of? A fad religion. You know what I'm talking about, like when people latch on to a new religion or philosophy and they only apply the surface tenets in the extreme without looking into the how or why. It's like when someone becomes a Buddhist and forgoes all their worldly possessions when any experienced Buddhist would tell you that's silly, because you can have pleasures and possessions, it's just about moderation and self-control, and not tying your sense of happiness and self-worth to something external. So then Spike comes upstairs and oh ho ho ho, it's this scene.
Twilight, Applejack just saved my life from horrible dragon-eating timberwolves. And, as you are aware, I adhere to my dragon code, and this means I must serve her for the rest of my natural-born days. I'm sure you understand. It's been an honor being your faithful assistant.
Sounds good.
Twilight, give Spike back to Celestia. You cannot be his guardian. You're awful. Awful! This is another reason why people hate bad Spike episodes. They drag other characters down with him, especially Twilight. I know they're going for the idea that she's so in the zone that she's not listening, but really, they just needed a way to write Twilight off so she couldn't solve the problem immediately and be a good character. So instead, we get this contrived BS that smashes poor Spike's heart. What the f***, DHX?
Which concussion did you suffer that made you think any of this was a good idea?
Listen, Sugar Cube, I completely respect your dragon code. Truly I do, but I just can't cotton with you permanently serving me.
Wait, Play that again?
I just can't cotton with you permanently serving me.
Excuse me? I don't think I heard that right. Play that again.
I just can't cotton with you permanently serving me.
Did you seriously just use the words cotton and permanently serving in the same sentence?
That's crazy!
DHX, I think you need some hearing aids for your tone deafness! You're a Canadian-based company! American slaves escaped to you! You should know better! What are you talking about? What do you mean they weren't much better? What's a residential school? Oh. Continuing on.
If you don't let me do this, I won't be a noble dragon anymore.
Ah, yes. Like those other noble dragons. The ones that tried to eat you, and the ones from Dragon Quest. I'm sorry, where did this idea of the noble dragon come from? It's been established by Dragon Quest that ponies know nothing about dragons. So how would Spike acquire such a code of ethics? Unless this code is something instinctual, like it's an innate part of his subconsciousness. If so, that would be an interesting theme to explore and highlight just how different Spike is from other ponies. Not just his body, but his mind and how it develops. A bird flies south for the winter. Perhaps it's similar to dragons and repaying those who save their lives. Or heck, maybe post-Dragon Quest, Twilight came up with this dragon code in order to make Spike feel better. I mean, it sounds like something she would do. These are cool ideas, but one, the episode never actually delves into such ideas, and two, they're contradicted by previous episodes. So yeah, it appears that Applejack is just too darn nice to tell Spike that he's being silly, and asks him to deliver one of his cow pies to Rarity.
Ugh.
They captured how the audience feels so nicely. This honestly feels like one of those later season episodes of SpongeBob where the humor comes from seeing our heroes put into gross out or cringe-inducing scenes at their expense. Then Applejack explains the situation to Rarity.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to have some pony forever in my debt. I'd get them to organize my closets and give me pedicures and help me with my sewing and—
Everyone is awful! So yeah, that's pretty scummy, but a thought just occurred to me. We have a southern pony and a high-class pony talking about exploiting someone for servitude. The implications are just jumping off the page! I mean, was this intentional? I hope it wasn't intentional. So then Rainbow Dash shows up and they explain the situation to her.
Sweet! What are you having them do?
Okay, ignoring the fact that no one seems to be blinking an eye at slavery, this is just a repeat of Rarity. Are we gonna go down the whole conga line of ponies until we reach Fluttershy and she says, "Oh, it might be nice to have someone help me herd all the bunnies."
Wash your laundry? Clean your room? Help you with your unfinished novel? Mine's about this awesome Pegasus who's the best flyer ever and becomes the captain of the Wonderbolts. However did you come up with that ingeniously woven, intricate plot line?
You, of all things, have no room to criticize bad plot lines. Twilight, maybe. So after Rarity briefly becomes an Earth Pony, Rainbow Dash gets the idea to give Spike an impossible task to make him quit. Surprise, surprise, it doesn't work.
Oh goodness, if it had been me, I'd have just pretended I didn't have anything for him to do.
It really speaks to how contrived all of this is, that the episode itself states how it could have easily been fixed. Spike continues to insist on helping Applejack, even when she has nothing that needs helping. You know what this moment is missing? A musical number! That'll make everything better!
The dragon is the finest creature ever.
Could this get any more stupid?
Or you might need help breathing.
Breathing. Twilight! Twilight, are you there? Twilight!
Don't bother, Applejack. I mean, if her son brother announcing that he's leaving home or loudly shouting her name doesn't get her attention, I'm pretty sure she's in some sort of catatonic trance. Or she could care more about her OCD than her own ward. There's flanderization, and there's whatever in the nine hells this is. if your plot has to rely on people being idiots or jerks in order to move it forward, that's a problem.
Well, now that you know what's going on, maybe you could talk some sense into him.
Oh, Applejack, I wish I could, but this is dragon code we're talking about.
What?
Surely you know how important the dragon code is to a dragon.
What?
You were aware of it! And you were okay with it! Alright, I can understand someone's personal code compelling them to repay a savior beyond a single chore. That's fair. However, I would never ever contemplate making life debt an acceptable part of it. Since you are aware of this, be the adult and tell him that's too extreme. I mean, ladies, you don't marry the first guy who holds the door open for you. Do you? So they hatch a plan to get Spike to see reason and...
70, 71, 72, 73.
Spike needs to save my life.
And you want us to shoot you out of a cannon towards a hornet's nest and give Spike a butterfly net so we can catch you mere seconds before we hit the nest and are stung by 1,000 angry hornets! I'll wear this mustache.
I can't tell if I'm not laughing because this episode put me in a foul mood, or I'm not laughing because that joke wasn't funny.
No, I am gonna be attacked by a timberwolf.
Gasp, gasp,
Gasp.
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 Yes, it appears that in order to make the two even Steven, Applejack is going to be rescued by Spike from a fake timberwolf.
Just one question.
Yes?
Mustache.
No.
Suit yourself.
Dang it, Pinky! Even when everyone else in this episode is super exaggerated beyond belief, I just can't find it in my heart to get mad at you.
We are all ready to play our parts, but are you sure you are ready to play yours? Show us your best damsel in distress move.
Are we seriously giving damsel in distress lessons? And of course it's Rarity doing this, you know, the character who was conceived specifically to be a well-rounded female character who's still into traditionally girly things. And feminism marches on!
Oh, well, how's this? Ooh.
Okay, that is not how you do cringe comedy. In comedy, especially cringe comedy, someone has to suffer. Good cringe comedy usually has the other characters reacting to the offending behavior. Here, nobody really reacts to it, so the only people suffering are the audience. Now, while that's good fodder for a review because I'm suffering for your enjoyment, standing by itself, it doesn't work. The joke does not work. It doesn't work. It does not work. It doesn't. It does not work. It does not work at all.
2 hours later.
Does not work. Does not work. It does not work. You hear me? It does not work. It does not work. It doesn't work! But mercifully, the lessons are cut short by Spike showing up.
Oh, by the way, there are exactly 24,567,837 blades of grass at Sweet Apple Acres.
Bullshit! If you took just a second to count a single blade of grass, and it's shown earlier in the episode that he does, it would take him 9 months minimum, and that's a lowball estimate. Why did you even do it?
I can't believe you counted every single one of them.
You asked me to.
Oh, so that was a snipe hunt. I mean, we see him counting grass earlier, but the problem is that you never specifically stated that you made him do that to keep him occupied. And it's very unclear, especially when it comes right after the joke of Spike helping Applejack with things she hasn't thought of. I mean, it's a neat idea for a joke, but it's just too unclear to be funny. So then they set their plan into motion. Gee, I wonder if actual timberwolves are going to attack them, and Spike will save Applejack for real. It's almost like I've seen a piece of fiction at one point in my life.
Save me from the terrifying timberwolf.
Well, he would be terrifying if he wasn't a fake.
So, Spike is dense to the point of actually counting blades of grass until he suddenly isn't. It's amazing. This episode can't even keep its plot-convenient personality traits consistent. So indeed, after the incredibly cringy bore fest since this episode started playing, finally we get some Timberwolf action!
Double, triple kill!
But the Timberwolves begin to reform and Applejack gets stuck. Golly gee willikers, that is so surprising. I didn't see that one coming.
Applejack, come on! I can't. I'm really stuck.
Oh, this is full of more crap than a Saiyan's constipated face. Applejack has been shown to kick a tree with enough force to shake it and make the apples drop. In the real world, that usually requires a machine. This rock she's under must be made with the shattered remains of Mjolnir because otherwise this episode really likes to pretend that all the other ones don't exist. But that would mean MLP is in Norway. Ponies are Vikings, apparently. So then the Timberwolves' remains fuse into a larger being. You know what? I'm just gonna play the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme over this and see if it helps me pretend I'm watching something better.
Make the monster growl!
Yeah, actually. So Spike refuses to leave Applejack behind and
I threw a rock at him.
what a strange way to take down a monster like this. I mean, he's a dragon. He could have breathed fire.
It was a big rock.
Then they catch up with the rest of the group who just kinda ditched him. Our brave saviors of Equestria and paragons of friendship, everybody. So frightened by the wooden wolves that they don't think to look back and see if anybody accidentally got left behind. What was that Rainbow Dash said in the very second episode?
I'd never leave my friends hanging.
I wish this was just a problem in this episode, but this is kind of a problem in the show overall. Too often we see episodes that seem to forget that previous episodes exist, which causes continuity errors, character regressions, or both at the same time. Do you know how many writers we've had for MLP's life cycle? Over 30. That is way too many cooks in the kitchen, and way too many people who have to be on the same page for this show.
But Spike picked up a pebble and rocketed that thing right at the huge Timberwolf's mouth and saved my life.
Wow, that slightly funny joke sounds incredibly stupid when you say it like that.
I know this code thing's important to you, but if something like this comes up in the future, think maybe we can go back to my code, say that's what friends do, and leave it at that?
Again, a very well-worded moral that comes after a bad episode. Having a personal code is great and all, but a lot of people have personal codes, and not all of them are compatible from person to person. If your personal code infringes on someone else, that's probably a sign that something needs to change. And no matter your personal code, it's never right to force someone to go against their own. You don't need to compromise your own personal views, but you might need to relax them a little bit because there's a time and place for everything.
Okay, guys, if you're bothered by cheating, either loosen your moral code or stop hinging the fate of the world on death matches!
So we get an ending that tries way too hard to be heartwarming, while at the same time feeling a bit like Spike learned nothing. And that was Spike at your service. Holy shit! Where do I even begin? From start to finish, this episode is Spike being stupid and one-dimensional. And he drags everyone else down with him with the whole moral myopia regarding slavery. The jokes have a fundamental misunderstanding of comedy, and when your cringe comedy is bad, that makes it doubly painful. The only characters that didn't make themselves out to be horribly awful were Fluttershy and Applejack. This episode took nearly everything that both Dragon Quest and Owlswell did badly and did it worse. It's more uninspired and cliched than both of them, it's beyond insulting, and it does Spike no favors as a character by forcing development through actively regressing his personality to something unrecognizable and illogical. And again, this is a great message, and I love the idea of Spike having a moral code and it causing him to come into conflict with another person. But it was a great idea with a bad execution. And unlike the other two Spike episodes, Spike at Your Service commits the crime of making the audience wonder if that's actually Spike. And that's not something you want for one of your main characters. I'm the Fiery Joker, and that's the last Spike episode. I'm free! I'm free! I'm free!
Cut!
Swing